Don't just bid contracts. That's what we're talking about today, guys. Welcome back to another video. It's important when you're listening to advice to understand who that advice is for. And there's a message out in the space. Bid. Just bid contracts. That advice is for a certain type of person at a certain stage in government contracting. It's not for all of you. And it's especially not for those of you who have been bidding. Because that advice really is for those who are not bidding yet. It makes sense. If you're not bidding yet, which is so many get their cage code, they do paralysis analysis, they're stuck. The advice, bid, or just bid, could be a little bit motivating to that particular business owner. But if you're a business owner who has been bidding, you've graduated to the next level. And at that stage, you don't want to just bid. You do want to be more strategic. Of course you do. I'm going to share what some of those more strategic things that you can and should be incorporating in this video. I'm going to give you a few. And this video is also going to have the underlying theme of a little bit of tough love. Okay? And it's because who gives tough love? Your best friends, the people who care about you the most, the people who are, friends of a friend, people who are kind of using you, wanting something out of you, people that are just wanting to keep you happy. They tell you what you want to hear. So you have to be careful what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're taking in, because there's a lot of stuff out on the internet. There's a lot of stuff out on YouTube University. And are these people telling you just what you want to hear? Or are they trying to treat you more like a best friend, or at least treat you how they would treat their best friend? Okay, so if you are bidding and you're not being as successful as you would like to, I have some things specifically for you. The first one is, it's possible, and I would ask you, if you were sitting down in front of me, I would ask you, maybe you've been a student of mine, maybe you've focused on services. I would ask you, what is the range of those services now that you're going after? On a spectrum, are you going after pretty much any service that you can find on sam.gov? Or are you sticking to 2, 3, or 4, like I suggest with my umbrella strategy, or as I talk about in my book? A number of you are just kind of chasing any service, or at least you're chasing more than 2, 3, or 4 services. Okay. If you are, it's probably biting you in the butt, and it's contributing to you feeling this frustration, feeling a lack of progress, despite all of your hard work and your best efforts that come from the methodology of just bid. Okay? You're kind of hitting a bit of a wall or a plateau when you don't even feel like you've had that much of continual success. How could you be plateauing already? So one of the things is, as I'm saying, if your gamut, your spectrum of services that you're going after, and if it's supplies, if you've been doing supplies, someone needs to talk to you, because you're going to drive yourself crazy going after supplies contracts. Okay, I have other videos on that. But assuming you've sworn off supplies and you're going after services, it takes time to learn an industry. It takes time to learn multiple industries. After all, you are not only a new government contractor, but more than likely you are relying on teaming partners. So because you don't even know these industries, which is why I recommend not focusing on one, but focusing on a few, but not focusing on more than a few. Okay, a lot of you have heard the advice to say, okay, don't just do one, as I pick on notary services. So you open it up. So you go from one extreme to the other. I didn't say to go from one extreme to the other. I said, do something in the middle. It has to be balanced. It's Goldilocks syndrome. 2 or 3 or 4 services. And when I suggest them, I say that they should be complementary so that you can tie them together with an umbrella statement, something that unites them and makes them make sense. Not just because of a positioning thing, although it is very much a great positioning thing to contracting officers, your website, your capability statements, marketing, sources sought notices, all that good stuff, where positioning your business is, there's more of an opportunity to express that, right? But it's more than that. It goes deeper than that. Because when that's what you're focused on, when that's your focus, and you're bidding, but then you're strategically bidding in this particular way, and we have a couple of other things to talk about today, but for this one still, it lets you go deeper, lets you get the repetitions in on this one particular industry, this one particular movement, so you can learn it on a deeper level instead of having 8, 10, 12, maybe even 6 is too many for sure, that you kind of shallowly understand at a very high level. This can cause you to be losing on your proposals, losing on price because you're not understanding the industry. Because of course, how could you? You're only going so deep with it because you're still choosing to go too wide. So for my service peeps that are bidding, I commend you, as I say, but I know some of you at least are going too wide. For those of you who are doing supplies, stop. You're gonna have to bid on 50 to 100 of these things to win one. It's gonna be low margins, high competition. You're gonna burn yourself out. Okay, so unless you're a manufacturer, unless you are someone who actually has rare relationships where you can provide real supplies and real products in real quantities and NSNs, okay? Going through first articles and all of these different procedures to be able to get set up to even offer one NSN to the government. It is a big undertaking. And selling your product to the government is much more involved and challenging. And that's if you have a unique product. If you're just going to try to sell whatever to the government, good luck building that as your business model. Services, but you don't want to be too wide, and you also don't want to be too narrow, okay? You need to learn the industry. Next. If you're losing on price, so for my price people, you're constantly coming in too high. Here's where a little bit of the tough love begins. Of course, we'll do the low-hanging fruit stuff, just so it's we give it a chance. These are the easy solutions. If you're losing on price, you're too high. Check your profit margins, obviously. Obviously, if you're over 20%, you're probably not going to be competitive on a lot of contracts. Closer to 15 gets you closer. Check your profit. Check your teaming partners. Are you negotiating them down? Because they're building in fat because they hear government and they think deep pockets. You gotta beat them up a little bit. It's business. It's not being mean. It's just business. It's nothing personal. You don't want to beat them up so much that they don't want to do work with you, or if you win the contract, they're going to do a crappy job because they're not making any money. But you don't want them to take you for a ride either. And very often you don't have long-standing relationships with these people, so you got to keep them on a short leash. These teaming partners, subcontractors that you're calling. Okay, so check your profit, check their numbers. If you haven't done that, that's going to be the easiest place to find money and to increase your likelihood of winning based on price if you are losing on price. However, if you've done that, you're saying, Derek, that's still, what else you got for me? Okay, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. The book, Legal Middlemaning, or just the concept everybody talks about, middlemaning, right? You understand that you're more expensive because of that. You're paying a penalty, if you will, or I should say you're paying a premium to work with another company. If you're losing on price, it's likely that you're in industries where companies are going direct. So why would the government work with you if they could work with, for example, the teaming partner directly? You will never be able to win that. Middlemaning, or legal middlemaning, the way that I teach it, is about getting your foot in the door. It's an opportunity for those of you who don't have a business, but you want to build a business off of getting your first couple contracts. And it's doable. It is doable. But it's not the only strategy, and it's not the only way. And if you are losing on price and you're doing everything else, you can, and it's encouraged at any point in time that you feel that you want to do the work yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do it, because you may not know how to do any of these services. I don't want to throw any of you too off here, but you can hire a person, because that puts you on the same playing field as a teaming partner, eventual subcontractor. Because guess what? They have a payroll too, and they just hire people. So if you want to be more competitive on your price, and you've checked your margins, and you are negotiating down your subs, then it's possible, and you're getting adequate numbers in. I'm not talking like 3, and you're like, Derek, I'm losing on price. No, you got to get your numbers in. But if you do all that, you can also consider doing the work yourself, called self-performance. That's great. It's a great eventual place to end up. Middlemaning is a way to get into the industry. The longer you're in the industry, you're going to double down on those types of contracts. And as you double down on those types of contracts, it makes sense to pay attention to how do we do those contracts so that we can hire out and be more profitable on those contracts. You are perpetually going in that direction. It's just some people have different opinions on where to start. And some say you have to start as a subcontractor. You have to be a subcontractor for 2 years. Others say you have to have a business for 2 years in the commercial space. I've been one of the ones to say, hey, if your goal is to be a prime federal contractor, you don't have to do that. You can start today as a prime federal contractor, but that doesn't mean it doesn't come with its pros and cons and its dragons. So these are natures of the beast that you've chosen. And it's okay, because there's going to be natures of other beasts. We can't get away from challenges or problems. We have to overcome them. And it's about who we become that makes us grow, makes our business grow, in how we solve problems, the solutions that we offer, how we approach business, etc. Now, next, some of you are bidding, but you're not getting feedback, and you're blaming the contracting officer, saying, well, they didn't call me back. A lot of them won't call you back. And yeah, it's a little annoying, for sure. But if that's something that's truly, like, you haven't found a way around that, and so you're just bidding blindly in the dark constantly, yeah, that will hold you back. That will be frustrating. That will be probably not the best use of your continued efforts. Because if you know you're doing something wrong, but you don't know what it is, continuing to do the thing wrong, we need to pause. We need to figure something out strategically or tactilely or technically, so that at least you're doing something different. At the very least, guys, if if you're not coaching with me, if you're not in any of our programs or anybody else, if you're not working with anybody else and you're not getting support in any way, you at least need to be the scientist. You need to try things out. Don't just do the same thing over and over again until you burn yourself out either. Don't just bid. If you're not getting any sort of feedback or difference in approach, you have to take that into your own hands. And when it comes to the contracting officer, well, if debriefs and feedback is something that you're really struggling to get, how's this for a solution? Reach out to contracting before you even start working on the proposal. Okay, once you've selected the opportunity on SAM that you want to go after, you or your team has decided to move forward with it. Before you do it, as your final hurdle, as part of your bid, no bid, you pick up the phone and you call contracting, or you email contracting, and you let them know that you've received their solicitation, the statement of work is something you're very interested in, and you intend to provide them a proposal and pricing package in response to their solicitation. If it's a phone call and they pick up and you tell them this, they're probably going to say, great. Yeah, just email it to me when you have it. Awesome. Cool. You've made contact. You've made contact with another race. You've landed on Mars. You've made contact. Cool. If it's an email, you can add a question to that. Perhaps it's a very easy RFI, such as, is there an incumbent on this current opportunity? An easy yes or no. We want to make it as easy as possible to get some sort of response from contracting, so that, again, you can make contact. Because guess what? If it's a phone call and they're like, yes, send it over when you're ready. If it's an email, now you have an email thread established. And you require that as part of your bid, no bid processes. I'm only going to work on opportunities where I've made contact first. You can even do it in the pre-solicitation stage if you're worried about time. Maybe they're on vacation and they need a week, whatever. Fine, cool. But it's a fairly good solution to the problem of not getting feedback, because then you respond, you know they're responsive. So then when the time comes for you to ask for feedback or a debrief, you already had 1 or 2 or 3 touch points with them, and the likelihood of them responding, not just because they know you, but because they've proven and shown themselves to be someone who is responsive, and you're not going after the opportunities that they didn't even respond to you. So why the hell would you work on a proposal and let alone forget trying to get feedback and debrief? Okay, so if you're not getting feedback and you're not improving and you're just bidding, and it's like, okay, we need to take a step back and pause, be a bit more strategic about this. This is something that I highly recommend. And you will find some do and some don't. Cool. Well, only work on the ones that do if you're facing this problem. Now, this is a bit more of the tough love, so kind of brace yourself. But we're still talking about don't just bid. So if none of this is fixing your problems, your challenges, maybe starting out in federal government contracting truly is not the place that you should start. And I'm not sure, but some of you are approaching federal government contracting with mismatched expectations. For instance, if anybody were to say to you It takes a business, any non-federal government contracting business, 2 to 3 years to really get established. 2 to 3. You'd probably agree. It wouldn't faze you. You would say, yeah, that makes sense. So it's like incumbent upon you to say, okay, well, I'm going to need to have a year's worth of savings or 6 months worth of savings because I'm probably not going to be making money. It takes time to get this business going. Again, just a commercial business. Everybody accepts that. When it comes to federal government contracting, though, it's like, okay, I need to be having revenue in 3 months or I'm done. Or, I'm massively in debt and I'm really struggling here, so I'm going to come to government contracting because I saw all these videos on YouTube of so-and-so won this, so-and-so won that, so-and-so won that, and it's just so easy, right? Wrong. It's the wrong idea. It's the wrong message. Again, be careful what you're reading and what you're listening to and what you're taking in. That's get rich quick. There's no such thing as get rich quick. And anybody who got rich did not get rich quick. And if they say they did, it's probably because they've got something to sell to you, right? It's not how the world works, guys. So there's this disparity between real business, commercial business, and federal government contracting. Federal government contracting seems to be thought of as more as like a business opportunity, almost like not like MLM, but like how multi-level marketing is an opportunity, but it's not like a real business most would consider. For some reason, federal government contracting gets grouped into like a business opportunity rather than a business. It is a business. If you have expectations anything other than that, you are sadly mistaken. Because even when you win 1, 2, 3 contracts, and those who have will tell you, you're not out of the weeds yet. You need continuity. You need consistency. You need predictability in your business. And that takes a couple years to really ramp up, just like a regular commercial business. So you want to manage your expectations appropriately. It's not just bidding, it's also being strategic. It's also improving. It's also making changes. It's also being the scientist, right? And then is winning your first contract and it's doing a good job on it. Then it's targeting agencies. It's building relationships. This all takes time, right? And it also comes in like phases on a predictable timeline. And you don't want to grow too fast, but you also don't want to sit here and do nothing so that you're not even having a business and you're just having a hobby because your business has $0 in your bank account, or you've had $0 run through the business because you've done 0 transactions. Okay? Neither of those are good. And if you need to do a commercial business, if you need to be a subcontractor for 2 years, if you need to listen to that advice because this just ain't working, by all means, there's nothing wrong with creating a commercial-based business first and then bringing that business to the federal government. The only thing that I will warn you, which is why it's not typically the main thing that I preach, again, it doesn't come without its challenges, but there's the old rules and there's the new rules. There's playing checkers and there's playing chess. The commercial world is playing checkers. Federal government contracting is playing chess. And why is that? Because in the commercial world, who do you want to do your roof? Bob's Roofing, who's a specialist, or a company that just does a whole bunch of different things. You want the specialist, so they care about the service. And federal government contracting, it's not that they don't care about the service, but they care more about the mission, which is why contracting will call you after you win your first contract, potentially, and say, hey, I know you provided this. We have a statement of work for this thing, and I know it's not exactly this, but we liked working with your company. And in support of our mission, we need a company that we can trust. Is this something that you guys can do? We'll send you over a statement of work. Let me know. That's happened to me so many times in my career, which is why I know this is so true. But those are different rules. Federal contracting, they care about the mission. If you're going to build a commercial-based business first, that's great, but don't forget you're playing by different rules. Because if you're going to be a specialist and then you're going to come to federal government contracting and you're only going to go after notary services, you're probably going to be too niche. Meaning you might not have enough opportunities to go after, meaning the competition could be more fierce, meaning you could be limited to certain types of contracts or certain areas where those contracts are, and then your business growth is limited to that. Look at any large business in the federal space. They've got freaking divisions and wings for everything. And I'm not saying for you to start big, I'm saying start small, right? But you absolutely should expand over time in the federal space. Absolutely, it's expansive. In the commercial space, it's reductive. In the commercial space, you start out offering roofing, sidewalks, fences, HVAC, whatever. But guess what? You get a couple HVAC jobs and you're not really, the fencing work isn't really taken off. And maybe you only did one sidewalk, but you keep getting this HVAC work thrown your way. Guess what's going to happen in a year or two? You're going to focus on HVAC because guess what naturally and organically happens? You start to say, well, look at the work that I've done in HVAC and I can do this for you too. It affects your marketing. In the federal space, it's your past performance. And you just naturally gravitate and get more and more work like that because you've done a good job. So keep that in mind, please. But I've thrown a few things at you today, a bit of tough love, but some literal strategies to consider, to think about. If you're someone who's been bidding, and it's not working for you, don't just bid. You're not at the stage of just bidding. Just bid is really just a motivational thing for people who are stuck in paralysis analysis, imposter syndrome, and they're stuck. Just do it. Yes, like just jump in the pool, just get on the bike. You're gonna fall and you're gonna pick yourself back up, but if you can't even bring yourself to get on it, you need to just go. Just do it. And for some people, that is like at that stage, I would give that advice. It is necessary advice. But as you ascend and you're no longer doing that, you can't keep listening to that advice. You have to listen to the new advice for where you are at. And it's not just bid, it's becoming more strategic in your approach. Make sense? And if you do want more strategy for your approach, I do have an upcoming training, Win Contracts Faster Without Wasting Time and Money. I highly recommend that you check that out. The link for the description, or link for that is down in the video description and in the comments. It's totally free. It's 35 minutes. You could literally watch it right now and be done before the hour is up or whatever. I highly recommend it. And guys, if you don't want to reinvent the wheel, if you want to learn from somebody like myself who has not only been fairly successful in the federal space personally, but have also worked with many small businesses to take off, win their first contracts, get them positioned in a place to continue to build and grow with systems and processes that are repeatable and improvable. I do have my new mentoring coaching program. I very recently just kicked it off. I took a little hiatus over the past year. And I'm back, and I'm super committed to working with our small businesses that we already have in there. And it's very exciting. We just did our first kickoff call again just a couple nights ago, actually. We just opened it up. So if you want information on that, you can email us, support@govkidmethod.com. Or, again, if you go into that training, at the end of the training, there's an opportunity for you to book a call, and you can learn more about it that way, too. That way we can talk with you for 30 minutes, see what you got going on in your business, see if it's going to be a good fit, share all the details. We don't just let anybody in, okay? We do turn a lot of people away because if you're not going to benefit, I don't want to take your money. It's not about that. But if you are in a position where this could make sense, investing makes sense, and you just don't want to reinvent the wheel, you don't want to have to figure all this stuff out for yourself, kind of learning the hard way, and not everybody can take advantage of it. But if you're somebody who can, I'm interested in hearing from you. I'm interested in hearing about your business, what you're going on, to see if we can help you out. So if you enjoyed the video today, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel here, welcome. Subscribe to GovKid Method YouTube channel for more federal government contracting videos that are very no nonsense, that are sometimes bold, but are always transparent. And I love to just cut to the chase because I'm passionate about helping small businesses, especially new government contractors, because there's so many things out there, so many paths to go down. And I'm super passionate about giving you what I think is the shortest and best path to winning government contracts if that's something that you are interested in doing. That's what we do here. That's what we're all about. So until next time, guys, you got this.